Exercise 4b, question 1. Okay, we're into binomial expansion, but we're now stretching our skills a little further because we are dealing with questions that do not start 1 plus. So if you remember in the formula book, it gives us that 1 plus x to the n is equal to 1 plus nx plus ... And what is important with this is this point here, that it starts with a 1. We can cope with anything next to the x, as we saw in exercise 4a, by just putting that in brackets. So we are going to have to make this 1 plus. So how do we do that? Well, back to the good old GCSE skills of factorising. So we start with 1a. First of all, let's turn it into index form. So square root is the power of half. Now, I don't want that 4 there, so I'm going to factorise it out. When we factorise, we divide the inside by 4 and bring it out the front. So 4. Now, it's come out of the bracket, which means it's got to have the power on. Brackets 1 plus a half x to the power a half. So remember, when we're factorising, we're dividing every element of the bracket by 4. So that leaves us with 1 and then a half x inside. Now we are of the form 1 plus x. We need to just go back to our standard skills. So those that watch the first video will remember the colouring. Red for my x, so everywhere I see an x in the formula, I'm going to put a half x. And green for my power, n. So let's keep the 4 to the half there. I'm going to move to a square bracket now, just because I can then sort of keep an eye that I close it at the end. This 4 to the power of half, let's simplify that. 4 to the power of half, of course, is simply 2. Let's make life a bit easier. So I've got 1 plus nx, so that's a half x. Okay, plus n, that's a half. N minus 1, that's minus a half. Over 2 factorial, that's just 2. And then I've got a half x, all squared. Remember that, really important all in that sentence. Plus a half n, n minus 1, n minus 2. I'm doing it in my head, but of course use a calculator if your fraction skills aren't that strong. Over 3 factorial. And then if I can squeeze it in, a half x cubed. And then I should be good and close the brackets just about. There we go. So what you've done is that inside the square brackets is your standard binomial expansion that you've done several of in exercise 4a. So now all I need to do is multiply it out. So I have got 2. A half times a half is a quarter, times by 2 is a half. Again, stick it in your calculator. This isn't a mental arithmetic exercise. And then if I do a half times minus a half, half squared, I will get 1/8. 1 over 32, times it by 2, 1 over 16 x squared. Okay. And then on the next one, if I multiply it out and simplify it, x cubed over 64. Now, if you prefer, you can do that in 2 stages. You could initially work that out first, okay, and then double it. Could be safer, might prevent some mental arithmetic slips or some calculator slips. Double it when you're finished, or you can do it all in one go. That's entirely up to you, but if you're making mistakes doing it all in one go, then I would suggest you do the square bracket first and then times by the number on the outside. Do not lose this. 2. It is very important. Try not to make it just appear at the beginning and then reappear at the end, but disappear in the middle, please. It doesn't look great in exams. So you'll notice I've got it on every line. Okay, right, let's have a look at part B. So another similar one. I'm not going to run this one all the way through. I'm just going to start you off. So I've got 1 over 2 plus x. Okay, so write it in index form, step 1. Right, check, is there a 1 here? The answer is no. Factorise whatever that number is out. So 2 has to have the power on it. I'm bringing out a 2, so that's 1 plus x over 2 to the minus 1. Everywhere you would write x in the formula, you would write x over 2, and n is minus 1. And then, of course, when you're finished, you'll times it by a half. Okay, of course, that part there, 2 to the minus 1 is a half. And then that one should work as before. Okay. So, same again for C. I'll show you the starting steps and then leave you to do the binomial expansion. Hopefully by now you've done quite a few of them, so you'll be pro at it. C. Not memory. 1 over 4 minus x squared. Step 1, index form. 4 minus x to the minus 2. Is it a 1? No, as you can guess, most of this exercise isn't, as this is the point of this chapter section. All right, let's bring the 4 out. So it's 4 to the minus 2, 1 minus x over 4, all to the minus 2. What are you going to do? Everywhere you see x, you're going to put minus x over 4. And this one, you are going to have to be careful with those signs. Okay, we'll run this one just to double check, and then here is my n. So let's extend the page a little bit. There we go. So give ourselves plenty of room. 4 to the minus 2 is 1/16, and then I've got 1 plus minus 2 to the minus x over 4 plus n, so that's minus 2, n minus 1, minus 3, be careful on that one, you do go the right way, over 2 minus x over 4 squared. I'm going to leave you to work out that last one, hopefully a pro at it by now. So if I multiply that out, I'm going to get a 16th. 2 minuses make a plus, and I had a half, so plus x over 32. Plus, and I'll leave you to do the rest of the calculations. Okay, right, let's move on to D. That's very much a similar one again, so I'm going to leave that one for you to do. So is E. Let's have a look at F. So I've got 5 over 3 plus 2x. 5 over 3 plus 2x. So they're just adding one little level to this one little bit we have to be careful of. So step 1. Index form. Not quite sure what's happened to my 5. Right. Step 2. Remember, always ask yourself, is it a 1 in the start point? It's not. So we've got 5 already there, be careful, times 3 to the minus 1. Okay. Brackets 1 plus 2/3 of x to the minus 1. So here, if we've factorized it out, everywhere I see x, I'm going to put 2/3 of x. Everywhere it asks for n, I'm going to put a minus 1. And when I have finished, I am going to times it by 5 over 3. Okay. And then you're off and running with that one. So again, it's just exactly as we've done every other time. Put your n and your x into your formula, and just be extra careful because there's going to be quite a few fractions floating around in that one. At least the power's a little bit nicer. Right, 1 plus x over 2 plus x. Plus x over 2 plus x. So they're stepping it up a little bit. So much so my computer doesn't like it. So again, index form. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The first bracket is absolutely sorted. Okay, 1 plus x doesn't need expanding, it's to the power 1. So nothing to do there, but we will, of course, have to multiply out when we are finished. So I've got 1 plus x. Then, actually, let's keep this a bit neater. Let's think about exam technique. Rather than keep everything running all together, let's take the 2 plus x to the minus 1 and deal with that separately. So bring the 2 out. but I don't want it there. I want to start 1 plus x over 2 to the minus 1 and identify our x and our power n. Remember, when I'm factorising, you're dividing. Okay, you're taking what's inside and you're dividing it by 2. You can always check in your head, if you multiplied it out, would it work? The powers have to match. Rules of algebra there. So if we work this one out, we will have a half 1 plus minus 1 x over 2 plus, so n minus 1 x over 2 squared plus minus 1, take another one off, minus 2, take another one off, minus 3 over 3 factorial. I'm just going to simplify that straight away to 6 x over 2 cubed. Okay, so if you then work all that out, okay, let's be good. So we've got a half minus x over 4. Let's just neaten that up. We're going to need to be able to use this piece in a minute, and I don't want it looking messy because that will mean I make a transcription error. Right, so I've got minus x over 4 plus x over 8. 3 minuses make a minus. Okay. Luckily, though, if you notice in this, I'm pointing, but it's not going to help, this fraction here, just like in the previous one, this one cancels down to minus 1. And I have got 3 cubes, so that's 2, 4, 8, times again by another 2 at the front. Ooh, those of you on the ball, x cubed over 16. Now, once I've got this, you do have to remind yourself that this wasn't the entire question. What I needed to do was take this answer, this one I've just done, and multiply it by the 1 plus x. So I'm going to do 1 plus x times a half minus x over 4 plus x squared over 8 minus 16 to get a half. Do this logically. 1 minus x over 4 plus x squared over 8 minus x cubed over 16. Okay, now if I times everything by x, and I might actually try and be a little bit clever here, plus x over 2 minus x squared over 4 minus plus x squared over 4. Let's be careful. Oh no, wait, is a minus. Plus x cubed over 8, and I don't need to write the last term down, although I will do just to show that I haven't forgotten it with that layout. The reason I've tried to be clever here is I should just be able to add it up because I've lined it up. So minus x over 2 plus x squared over 4 minus x cubed over 16. No, over 8. Let's correct that one. Okay. Just double checking that one quickly. What am I doing that one? So we've got a half. Oh, wait, quick, scratch that. And as I'm this far through the video, I am not going to delete it. So anyone who's lasted this, well done. You've just seen my mental arithmetic go to pot. Happens to us all. Right, so I have got a half minus a quarter, which is plus a quarter. I have got a minus a quarter and an eighth, so minus 2 eighths plus an eighth, which is minus an eighth x squared, and then plus a 16th x cubed. This is why it's always worth double checking and just, using a calculator to check mental arithmetic. If you're in a rush, it can go a bit too fast. Okay, I'll do the start of the next one, but not all the way through. This is going to be the longest video. 2 plus x over 1 minus 2 plus x over 1 minus x. All square rooted. Right, index form. That's 2 plus x to the half times 1 minus x minus. If you get the index form right, that's okay. Okay, so you've got 2 parts to this question. That one, yeah, is just the standard. Off you go, use the formula. Okay, you've got minus x though, so be careful, and you've got minus a half, but it does start with that 1. Okay, so second one, the first one, you've got to deal with that 2. So 2 to the half, 1 plus x over 2 to the half. So you will be dealing with x over 2 and a half as your n. And you're going to need to do your binomial expansion for both of those and then multiply them out. Okay, so long and messy, so I'm going to take a shortcut and say, if you've got any questions, just ask your teacher. Good luck.